The 7-step process is just, there's a few things outlining what self-hypnosis actually is, and then we can also give this a go if you guys want to, and I can sort of guide you through it, just like a meditation and stuff like that, just to relax the mind. But step number 1 is identify the problem and concern you want to work with. So what is it that is an issue in your life, or what is it that you want to create in your life? Do you have anxiety? Do you have negative thoughts? Do you have a lack of self-worth? If that's the issue or problem you want to work with, then we need to change that. Do you want to be more confident? Figure out exactly what the issue is. Step 2 is the induction and the deepener into hypnosis. So the induction is what we did there with the magnetic fingers. Now, all you have to do, if you want to do this, is just focus on your fingers and just convince yourself that your fingers are going to touch. And the more you convince yourself, you can see my fingers wanting to touch, they're being dragged in, because I'm convincing myself. I don't resist it. So some people may have been resisting it, because they're like, I don't want to be hypnotized. I'm too strong to be hypnotized. And the best way to explain who gets hypnotized the best, the most imaginative people. So if you can be imaginative and creative, you can be hypnotized very easily. Doesn't mean you can't be hypnotized, or anyone can't be hypnotized, because everyone can. You've just got to break away from the logical mind a bit to say, I don't want to do it, I don't want to do it, I don't want to do it. And some people do that. And I've done it with quite skeptical people before, because I like to show that it's not just for people that can be hypnotized, it is for everyone. Some people just have to allow themselves into it. So step number 2 is that, the induction and deepener. So inductions can be, there's different ones. So one that I like to use with people, because I do a lot of Zoom hypnosis. That's what a lot of my clients are American for some reason. And that's how I do a lot of my programs when I work with people over a 7-week period. And one of the induction I'll do is that one, convincing them that their fingers are magnetic and they're going to touch. And then I put them into a trance that way. Another way is getting people to roll their eyes up. So when you go like that, if you try and close your eyes and roll your eyes up, anyone wants to do this, you can sort of feel a flicker in your eyelids, if anyone wants to do that, yeah? And what that does, yeah, that's it, you can feel that, you just did that and you felt it. And it feels weird, doesn't it? What you're doing is you're actually releasing alpha brainwaves. So we went from beta to alpha to theta, and that's what we want to get to. If you're in beta right now and you start to release alpha brainwaves, it looks probably really weird if someone's doing that. It probably looks a bit demonic or something. But if you do that, you're naturally getting yourself down the brainwave spectrum closer to theta. The goal is to get to theta. When we get to theta, then we go into that hypnotic trance. So for the induction, for the deepener, just get yourself into a place where you can either focus and stare at something, and if anyone wants to do that, just stare at one thing in the room, whether you stare at a light, ideally something above eye range, so that you're looking up, so you're getting those alpha brainwaves. But if you stare at that for long enough, you start to just glaze over. And you start to just, your breathing will start to change. You'll probably just lay back a bit. You'll probably just start to chill out. Because when you start to focus on something, if someone's got anxiety, what are they doing? They're sitting like this, they're sitting moving around, their eyes are constantly moving. If you can just slow everything down and focus your eyes in one place, slow your breathing down, then you start to relax much easier. And when you start to do that, you start to allow yourself to go into that state of hypnosis. So there's another way that you can do when you want to deepen yourself. And has anyone ever put their hand in freezing cold water and then warm water, like lukewarm water? Has anyone ever done that? Or you've got out of a warm bath out into the bathroom and it feels cold even though the room's actually quite warm. Now the reason is the contrast. So if you're doing this and you want to deepen yourself into hypnosis, if you tense up your whole body and then all of a sudden just relax, the relaxation feels more relaxing than it was when you were sitting there before, because of the contrast of feeling so tense. And obviously when you're stressed, you start to tense up. When you're stressed, you start to tense up even more. And then, when you go get a massage and they're like, I can feel that tension in your back. That's because you're so tense. When you just allow yourself to relax after tensing up, you can feel it even more. So when you're taking yourself down a hypnotic process of, you found out the problem, step number 1. Step number 2, you've induced yourself doing something like that, or you're staring at something, or your eyes are up, and then you just wait until you convince yourself that your eyes are going to close. And you can just allow yourself to relax. And a lot of people, when you see hypnosis, I say, like, it's not the generic sleep. Like, I've done videos where I pull someone's arm and I say sleep, and what looks like sleep, but they just go into a hypnotic trance. And if anyone wants to see one of those videos, just ask me after. I can send you some of those videos, and they're quite amusing to watch. So step number 3 is assess, address, and understand the situation once you're in a state of hypnosis. So like I said, the first step isn't anything actually to do with the hypnosis specifically. That is to understand what the issue is or the concern that's going on with you. And then obviously you're inducing yourself into hypnosis with either rolling your eyes up, focusing on something, just relaxing, and then just allowing yourself to just close your eyes and get yourself into that state. And how many people here their mind is just constantly running. You're thinking about work, you're thinking about your family, you're thinking about your friends, you're thinking about this, you're thinking about that, you're thinking about this, and your mind is just on overload. How many people actually sit there and just think about, who do I want to be tomorrow? How do I want to feel tomorrow? How do I want to act tomorrow? And when I started to do this, that's when I started to make those changes. I was like, who do I actually want to be? I'm sitting there so anxious all the time, not actually leaving my house because I couldn't. I was too scared of something bad was going to happen. Logically, I know something bad wasn't going to happen. Emotionally, my mind took over. It was like that 3-year-old kid stamping his feet saying, no, Max, you are not leaving because something bad will happen. My mind convinced me. If my mind can convince me that something bad was going to happen, can my mind convince me something great is going to happen? Could I go to the shops and get beaten up? Yes, it's possible. It's a very low percentage chance. Could I also go to the shops and win the lottery? Yes, it's possible. Again, very low percentage chance. But whatever we, again, like what Napoleon Hill said, whatever we can conceive and believe, the mind can achieve eventually. So, I think I got to step 3. So it was understanding, assess, address, and understand the situation. So once you're in that state of hypnosis, we need to find some wisdom from the situation we go to. So when I work with people, I always say, okay, so what is the first time you can go back to? So for example, if I was working with you, I would say, what was the first time? And you went quite far back to that Apple situation. Now, it would be very easy to sort of remove that as a fear, because all I would do is I would take you back and say, well, what are you scared of? You're not actually scared of the apple, you're scared of what the apple is going to cause you. And this is what I would do with someone. I would say, okay, so then it would move to the point of, okay, so get it closer to you holding an apple, to you taking 1 bite of an apple, 2 bites of an apple, and then eventually after a week or so finishing an apple. Which it sounds a bit silly, but that's how you do it with fears. And you need to take some wisdom from it and say, okay, so why was I actually scared of that? And a great example, when I said for myself, when I was so petrified of public speaking, I know exactly what it was. When I was in year 11 at school, I did a presentation, all my friends laughed. So naturally, when I would stand up on stage, what I would see is Sam, James, Ollie, all my old friends standing there laughing at me, even though logically I know, like no one in here is a horrible person. They're not going to say, right, I want this Max kid, I want him to just absolutely fluff it up and completely screw it up. I want everyone to laugh. No one wants that. I'm sure we're all very, very lovely people here. I hope. And when we start to feel it emotionally, we just start to attach ourselves to it and become that. So when we can take wisdom from that situation, I would look at it and I'd say, well, why was I scared of that? And I just kept asking myself, why? So if you want to add on to step number 3, take wisdom from it, but also just keep asking yourself, why am I scared of this? Why do I feel anxiety? And just keep asking why until we get to that root cause, because where it starts is where the issue is. I always say anxiety is never the issue, depression is never the issue. The issue is what causes the anxiety and what causes the depression. And a great analogy I will always use when I work with people is, there could be 15 branches on this massive tree. I could cut off all 15 branches, but the tree can still grow because the roots are in the ground. Now, if I dig out the roots of that tree can't grow anymore. The tree is eventually going to decay. All those 15 branches, I could chop them all off, or I could just dig out the roots, all those 15 other branches will die naturally. It's sort of like a domino effect. When you start to improve your confidence, not only do you feel better about yourself, you start to go out on more dates, you start to ask for the job you want, you start to ask for the raise you deserve, you start to get better things in life. Just because you started with the anxiety, you start to have a domino effect. So really with step number 3 is just keep asking why and find out exactly what the root cause is. And you'll know what the root cause is. As I said, I'm not a genius. Whenever I hypnotize someone, when I work with a client, I don't say, okay, so I'm going to help you find your issue. No, I'm going to help you find your issue. I'm not going to find your issue. I'm not here to tell you what the issue is. I'm not here to say, okay, you've got anxiety. I'm going to help you find your anxiety, or I'm going to find the anxiety for you and we're going to remove it. No, I'm here to help you find your anxiety so that you can remove your anxiety. Even if I'm doing the hypnosis, the generic sort of therapeutic hypnosis, I'm not really doing much other than being a good questioner and inducing them into hypnosis. That's effectively what it is. I'm helping them find their answers. As I said, I'm my genius, you're your genius, you're your genius, you're all your own genius. That's what I want people to understand. So step number 4 is know a solution to how you want to act. So when I say this, I mean, how could you change the way you react when X happens? So naturally for me, it was whenever I stand up on stage, rather than seeing my old friends' faces and like they're laughing at me, how can I change the way that I want to feel about myself when I'm sitting up here talking in front of people or standing up in front of people. As I said, I had to change the way that I thought about it, because realistically, the external stimulus of me sitting in front of people talking isn't the issue. It's my reaction to the stimulus, and the stimulus being sitting in front of people talking. For some people, it's just a walk in the park. Some people just naturally grown up talking in front of people, and they absolutely love it. Other people couldn't even think about it. That would just be their worst nightmare. I actually quite enjoy it now, and it used to make me feel sick to the stomach. It was painful for me. So when I say know a solution, it's really understanding, what will I do when X happens? When this anxious feeling comes up, what will I do? And I always say to people, there's different things we can do. The two things that control our frame of mind is our posture and our breathing. So people sitting here right now, you're probably relaxed and you're just breathing relaxed. Like I said, when you're feeling anxious, you're sitting there, you're like sort of all over the place. Your mind's going, your eyes are racing, everything's sort of going on, the mind's sort of working on high speed, whereas right now everyone's just chilling out. And if we could get ourselves to that state of mind when we're doing something that would naturally or normally scare us, not naturally, that would normally scare us, then we can start to make these massive changes in our life. So I always say to people, how did anyone in here learn the alphabet? Did you just hear it once and then that was it, you knew it? Or did you do it about 1,000 times when you're, I don't know how, 2, 3, 4, I don't know how old you are when you learn the alphabet. But how many times did you sing the alphabet? What is it? The actual alphabet song? You probably did it so many times, and it was a bit ridiculous. And you got to the point where it's now kids naturally sing that, or they count. There's like counting songs and stuff like that to learn new ways. It's all through repetition. The more we do something, is the easier it's going to become. Like you guys here, if you guys here do this, you do this on a regular basis, don't you? You come here regularly. Is it weekly? You said weekly? Yeah. So if people have been doing it for, is this anyone's first time here today? First time, yeah. So this is going to be new for you guys. This is something that you have to think about. I'm going to go here. For people that have been doing this for a year, 2 years, however long this has been going for, you just turn up. You don't think about it. You're just like, oh, it's Tuesday. I go to do the Adidas running. It's just something that you do. And if we do something regularly, I say, why not do it every day? The more we can do something, the better it's going to become. If we can know that solution, we can visualize ourselves doing that solution, acting it out. And as I said at the start, about when we imagine ourselves doing something, we create more connections in our mind. When we see someone do it, we create even more connections. When we actually do it, we create even more connections. So if we can just imagine ourselves speaking in front of people, my mind started to accept it as a bit of a normal. I go, okay, I could do that. It would be scary, but I could do that. Then I start to see people do it, and I'm watching people online. That's how I did it. I just literally watched people talking in seminars. I'm like, okay, so how do they sit? How do they stand? Do they sit here like this, or are they a bit more expressive with the way they talk? And I would say, like, I just copy what works. I don't try and reinvent the wheel. When I see what works, I just do exactly that. If it works for them, it works for me. Even with hypnosis, I didn't come up with hypnosis. I just took upon myself a great therapeutic tool, and I utilized it on myself. And I saw how much it sped up my life and changed my life, going from what took me 3 years of work to become more confident, in 3 months, completely changed my life. And I was like, I really don't care what people think. Whereas I used to be petrified. I remember I do a lot of stuff on social media, I speak on camera. And when I first started, I blocked every single person that I knew because I was so scared of what they would think about me. I was like, what are they going to think if I'm talking to the camera? They're going, well, who's this kid? What does he know? I was so scared, it actually like frightened me, that then my friend found out and he was like, oh, I'll follow you. And I had to unblock him so that he didn't think that I was blocking him. I was a bit like, oh God, I was literally sitting there like sweating, just like I need to unblock him before he thinks that I don't like him. My family didn't know because I was so scared of what they would think. But now I was like, I really don't care. If someone thinks I'm stupid, so be it. If someone thinks I'm weird, so be it. I'm stupid, I'm weird. I sort of embrace that about myself. But then there's also the Max that sits up here talking about this stuff that I'm like, okay, some people I probably think I'm a bit of a nerd when it comes to the mind. I love it, and I absolutely do love it. So we did get to step number 4. So that is really the goal, is know that solution. And imagine yourself, so when you're doing the self-hypnosis process, do this every day for 30 days, and just imagine yourself. And if anyone does want this, I've got the hypnosis challenge. It's completely free on my YouTube channel, where you can just take yourself through a guided process. And the more you do it, the more you imagine yourself in your future, doing these things that you want to do, having that job you want to have, being with that person you want to be with, traveling the world, being the greatest runner, being the best runner you can be. The more you do this, the more your mind accepts it to be a truth. And again, it's not really a truth, it's an opinion at the end of the day. I could say, I like your hat. It's an opinion, it's a hat. Someone could say, I look stupid with my socks up if I pull them up. Someone else could say, that's how I wear my socks. There's no, like I say about, there's no one right way to live life. It's just an opinion, it's not a fact. If our opinion about ourselves is, oh, you look disgusting, you're so ugly, you're so this, that starts to become our truth. If we start to, first of all, we've got to unwire that. We've got to rewind ourselves, take ourselves back to realise that that is not a truth, that was an opinion. The reason I speak English is nothing to do with me, it's the reason is because my family is English and they speak English. That's the only reason. If I happen to be Spanish and my family was Spanish, I would speak Spanish. The only reason is down to, like we said at the start, about our environment, what we're around. That is why we get what we get. It's because of what we are around and what we believe to be true. If someone tells you that you should never wear Nike and you should only wear Adidas, I think, Jake, you were saying some people in Adidas, they don't even say Nike, they say the swoosh or something. They don't even say it because they're ingrained into the culture where it is Adidas, that is it. Is it the truth? No, because there's probably Nike people that won't say Adidas. And they'll say, I don't know, the 3 lines? I don't know what they'll call it. They just won't say it. And again, it's not right or wrong, it's just down to our perception. And if a culture around us is not saying Nike, we want to fit in with the culture. Everyone wants to fit in. We don't want to be left out. It's the natural human behavior. We want to survive. And the way in the caveman times, the way we survived was by being with everyone else. Because if not, a saber-toothed tiger will come and eat us. Right now, there's no saber-toothed tigers running around London, I don't think. I may be wrong, but there's no saber-toothed tigers running around that are going to attack us. So our way of being in survival is by fitting in with community, having people not laugh at us, or all those little things.